Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is The Take on this Wednesday morning. Yes, it's hump day, and it's a nice day because of the fact that we somehow in one day, yesterday, forgot all about Evergrande. That was all the story on Monday. We were getting hammered. We were down nearly 1,000 points. We recovered. Come in yesterday. It's just distant memory. People start looking ahead. They start looking to the Fed. They look at all these other things. And it's just amazing the memory sometimes within the markets. But we had a roller coaster ride yesterday. It was no doubt about that. We were up early. We were up a couple of hundred points, up 250 points. We're up 300 points. Had a little bit of a pullback here and there. And towards the end of the day, had a pretty decent pullback. We dropped about 170 points late to finish down on the day by about 50 points. NASDAQ, sort of just a volatile, sort of moving thing. It was moving. There's no doubt about it. Moved a little bit differently than the Dow itself, because it was more so holding and sustaining on the rise, and actually bounced in the last few minutes of the day to finish up 32 points. I think it recovered by about 50 or so points late in the day. So really, really interesting to see that. Volatility, we talk about the volatility index all the time. Traded yesterday between 21 and 26. Closed a little bit up higher than we probably would have expected, given the fact that the markets actually kind of recovered enough, but still closed right around 24, 24 and a half, somewhere in that sort of range. Volume, we finally got a little bit of a dip in volume after those huge days. When you go back to last week on Friday, and then you look at Monday, take a look at Tuesday, you start to see a little bit different. Just underneath 34 million contracts were trading yesterday. So not a terrible day by any stretch, but well off of that 48 million and 43 million, those kind of numbers. It was significantly off of that. As a matter of fact, no stocks yesterday traded more than 1 million contracts. So we've been talking about how it's been so spread out, and it has, but a little bit less volume yesterday. So we had crude trading right around 70 and a half. You had the 10-year, it's hardly worth talking about. It's been basically pinned near that 131 level. So that's been very, very moderate in terms of volatility relative to the rest of the markets, no doubt about that. Energy, now that's where we saw a lot of volatility yesterday. We started off the day, energy was up 1%. Early into the session, we're down about 0.5%. We closed up about 0.5% or somewhere close to that. And it led all of the sectors yesterday as we got towards the close. One of the areas that led to the downside was industrials. Industrials just had a hard time, worst performer of the sectors, the major sectors yesterday, down about 0.75% or something close to that. I'll tell you what, there were a lot of different areas of the marketplace that were very, very interesting. ConocoPhillips, one of those names, talked about energy. That was up yesterday about 4%. Nice move to the upside. AutoZone, which we don't talk about nearly enough, but up about 3.5% yesterday. Moderna up about 2.5%. What wasn't up yesterday, again, were the casinos. And the casinos just continue to have this pressure. Now, every once in a while, they get a little relief for a day or two, but consistently, if you take a look at the charts or however you want to look at it, look at Las Vegas Sands, look at Wynn, look at a lot of these various names, MGM, throw that in there. Even Penn yesterday, Penn National, that one was down about 4%. Las Vegas Sands was down another 5.5%. Wynn was down about 4% yesterday. So casinos just continue to have a very, very difficult time. Now, they do have days where they move to the upside, but far more consistently, we've been seeing that sell-off. You know what else sold off? The world seems to love Disney, right? And for all the right reasons. Disney did a lot of great things. Then they got into the streaming. They're a little bit late getting into streaming, but they caught up very rapidly. But you start looking at those PEs, and that's the one thing that got me out of that stock quite a while ago. We had a great run in there. The stock actually went from somewhere close to 100. Nobody seemed to like it. Went up to 155. Everybody likes it. Now the stock, as it got up towards 200, people started to fall in love with it. Well, there's been some decent pressure on Disney of late, and you just wonder. The excitement level is going in at a level that actually, when you look at the PE, it's at a PE level where you've never seen Disney in the past. Now, I know that there are some changes with streaming and so forth, but it does seem very, very extreme when you look at where that's trading. Well, yesterday it took it on the chin, down about 4%. It was down towards about 170. And I still look at this each and every day because I own this stock for a very long period of time, but I'm still waiting to see. I think on any dramatic pullback, this is one of those names where it's on the list to take a look at on the dramatic pullbacks, because I think they go after the very high PEs that are definitely stretched. I think those are the ones they come after first. We will see over time. Still not in that name or back in that name at this point. So pretty nice bounce today. We're up 200 points in the pre-market. Then we're up about 250. Then we're up 300. Last I looked, hour into the trading session, we were up 350 points on the Dow. The NASDAQ just kind of methodically up 30, up 40, up 50, up 70. Last I looked, it was up nearly 100 points. Could be up over 100 points right now. Crude starting to move once again, move back up. We have been mostly seeing it kind of hovering around. It's been trading right around 71.5. So off of that 70.5, just adding a little bit of something there. 10-year, as I say, it's just planted. Bitcoin, 42,500, somewhere in that sort of range. You call it 43,000, 42,000. It's calmed down just a little bit. We'll see how long that lasts, because I don't know that it'll last all that terribly long, either to the upside or the downside. We did have some overnight trading a couple of days ago where it didn't look all that pretty, but it pulled right back up to where it is right now. So energy was leading right out of the gates, up about 2%. Financials were up about 1.5%. We also had materials up about 1%. You can just jump forward after the opening, and just minutes ago I was looking, energy up about 3%. Financials up a little bit more than 1.6%. You look at materials up 1.2%, led by Freeport-McMoRan on the materials side, no doubt. Financials, it's Goldman Sachs, it's JP Morgan, it's kind of it's Capital One, it's Citi, it's Bank of America, the big bad banks, and a couple others outside of that. Those are the ones that are definitely on a nice move to a great trajectory to the upside. Take a look at Chevron, take a look at Exxon, take a look at BP. I bring those up because those are the biggest, baddest in the energy space. All three up over 3%, which leads me into also the beta energy names that are absolutely on fire today. Look at Occidental, take a look at Apache, take a look at so many of those names. Marathon Petroleum up 4.5%, all the way up 5.5%, 6%. A really beta move. So you can see that playing out right in front of you. Those other big names that I talked about in energy up about 2.5%, 3.5%. These names up 4.5%, 5.5%, 6%. So gives you a little bit of idea of when I say beta names, the names that are moving at a much faster pace. So that one's really interesting. You know what else was interesting today? FedEx. So FedEx, actually some of the numbers, in my opinion, were pretty decent and understandable. And a lot of it made some sense. The problem that they faced, however, was they talked about some of the issues that they had on ground and the lack of employees and the fact that they're having such a difficult time. I wonder what's happening there. Anyway, stock down about 9%, and they are having a hard time with the hiring process. So that is something that we'll keep a very close eye on. Obviously, that if that's the case for FedEx, you just wonder, what about UPS? What about some of the other competitors in the space? But that was the one that really stood out today. Chinese stocks finally getting a little bit of a bounce. You look at PDD, you look at Baidu, you look at JD, you look at Trip.com, all those up 3 to 4%. Now, a little bit of unusual, and then we're done. I won't be on anything CNBC-wise today, but tomorrow is going to be an absolutely swamp day. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Robinhood's number one. HOOD, that's the first one for unusual. Now, this one hit. Stock was trading just underneath 44.5, and we had a buyer of 5,700 of Friday's expiring. Yep, you only got a couple of days. It's the 22nd today. These expire on the 24th. The 44 strike calls, 50 cents all the way up to a little bit more than $1. Stock was a little bit lower. It moved up a little bit as they started buying these options, but right on top of where the stock is right now. That was where we were seeing the activity. Occidental. Not only do these beta names continue to trade and trade very, very impressively, you take a look at the year-to-date chart of a lot of these various names, or you want to go all the way back to November when it started. But you can look at year-to-date, you can look at a lot of different charts. These beta names in energy have been on fire. Occidental is my other one. That's number two. With the stock trading right around 26.80, we had a buyer of 6,300 of the October 1st, so buying a little bit of extra time, 9 days. The 30 strike calls are what they were buying. They're going from 8 cents up to 16 cents. Now, it's going to take a bit of a move, understand that, to get up towards that 30 level where these can start to move. But depending on how fast that move can happen, and obviously looking at crude oil and how the energy stocks are trading, but this is just another great example. We've had so many hits in Marathon, Occidental, Devon, You go through those beta energy names in the XOP, you got the list. And I'll tell you what, the unusual option activity that we have seen time and time again has been very, very interesting. Not always exactly right, but very frequently been very solid in terms of the direction of what we've been seeing in the energy space. Folks, have a great day of trading. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow on the take. And then it's off to the races with all kinds of different commitments. It's going to be a really big day tomorrow. Have a great day of trading.